Welcome to the Mindset for Success show, where we will talk about success in different ways and give you practical tips to achieve and cultivate success in every area of your life. Come, join us and learn from our guests what success is all about. For more information, follow us at... Welcome to the Mindset for Success show. I'm Carolina Ayala, your host. Today, I want to start the conversation with the importance of thinking about your success and also feel your success. Everything starts with a thought form, so we send that energy to the universe, but to be able to attract the opportunities, the people, the right moment and everything into your life, you have to feel it from your heart so you can become a magnet of that energy. So the invitation is that to align your mind and your heart. I know it's not easy. It's not easy because sometimes you feel it, but you have the feelings sometimes you don't deserve. Maybe you don't know how to do it, you don't have the resources, but there is a way to achieve that. And to talk more about that, we have today a very special guest. We have our friend Tinkerbell. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's really quite an honor to be here because it's very rare that I speak about myself. I'm always speaking about what I do, and those are two different things.
Totally
different
but
things.
At the same time, they go together because who you are allows you to do what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I think about being a child. Everybody has their own idea of childhood and how they felt when they were little. And my sister and I have different versions of what our childhood was like. But we're both survivors of the Holocaust. I was born in 45 in April, and the war was over in May, June of 1945. So I was still a survivor of the Holocaust. And my parents incredibly survived, but our entire family was killed, exterminated. So that's the beginning of a life that changes you. Yes. Like everything else, everything changes you. But how it changes you is up to you.
Yes.
So things in your life will happen.
Yes.
You cannot prevent hurricanes, you cannot prevent people killing each other. And I really believe that there's always going to be enemies. We're never going to have world peace. But it sounds like I'm a pessimist when I say that. But knowing that allows me to know that I have some potential ability to make my world better.
Yes.
Whatever it was that happened to us, to my family, I had no grandparents, I had no uncles or aunts, I had no cousins. You know, I grew up in a different world than when we moved to Germany. And in Germany, I lived in a DP camp in a box of 200 people with bars on my window.
Wow.
And I remember that from a year and a half old until 5. But then, you know, one day I remember being on a television show, and somebody said to me, "What is your name?" And I just about passed out because I had to say, Pasila Rosenfarb. And I was so embarrassed to say that in Bolivia, because I was in a TV show in Bolivia. And I said, and I was 10 years old, and I wanted to cry because I was embarrassed of my name. I was embarrassed that I was chubby. I actually peed in my pants.
Wow.
From nerves. So that's how little I thought about myself. And then I decided that's not the world I want to live in. We don't choose where we live with children, but we choose what world we put around ourselves. And I said, I'm always embarrassed. I'm always shy. I don't speak Portuguese very well. I don't speak Spanish very well. I said, I just want to get better at things. I want to get good at it. I don't want to be in front of people and be embarrassed of my name. So it's interesting that I'm called Tinkerbell. Yeah. I mean, if anybody should be embarrassed, it should be me being embarrassed, because I was named that by a minister when I was already later in my life. But the truth is that when I decided to fight to become successful on the outside, you first have to be successful on the inside. You have to believe it. You can't just fake it. So I said, what can I do? Well, my parents said, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a dancer? Do you want to be a singer? Do you want to play piano? I said, I want to do all of them. And my mom put me in classes, even though we had no money. I don't know how she did it, but I was in classes, and I know I did it for free because I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't afford it. But I started doing the things that I knew were going to make me feel better about myself. and I lost weight, and I started exercising, and I started learning about food, and one day I woke up, and I looked in the mirror, and I went, hey girl, you look pretty damn good.
I love myself.
I really liked,
I really
even though I still was critical, you know, I'm fixing my hair, I'm doing this, but I was glad of how I looked, what I had become. Then I liked who my friends were. That was in Brazil. I was already in Brazil. I was already 14, 13. And I said, oh my God, I think I'm going to fit into Brazil. Now, Brazil is made up of, I know people don't know this, African Americans and Spaniards and Portuguese.
Oh, wow.
That's how we speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
That's how we speak Portuguese. And Japanese, a very large percentage of Japanese.
I didn't know that.
I know people don't know that about Brazil. So I grew up in a very mixed society, and a lot of my friends were African American. Well, at that time, African Brazilian. Some of them moved to America, African Brazilian, but they didn't call themselves African Brazilian. They called themselves African. And we wore these white, beautiful clothes, and we run into the ocean, and we'd be doing these prayers, and these prayers were all African prayers. And then I come home and show them to my mom and my dad, and she goes, what is that? But not critical.
Yeah.
So I made my world be very expansive to encompass everything I saw and who I met, and made myself popular. Because I was not popular. And being popular means you're accepted, in my head. So when I first came to America, once again, down. Couldn't speak the language.
Again.
And I looked really weird. Really, I was wearing bobby socks, you know, and I was wearing tight clothes. It was terrible. It was terrible how we dressed. When I look back, my hair was not like American hair. And I used to look at American mothers, and I said, oh my God, they wear this high, thin heels in America and tight pants. And it's so weird because in South America, once you become a mother, you gain a little weight because you were pregnant, and you wear looser clothes. So once again, I was adjusting to America, and my friends were terrible. We would go babysitting, and they'd be stealing things out of drawers.
Oh no.
And I came home and I said to my mom, I'm probably not being a good person because I'm attracting bad people. So that was the beginning of my realizing that who you bring into your life is going to come to make your feelings about yourself worthwhile. If you grow up in a neighborhood where you make your friends the drug dealers and the people that commit crimes, you're going to become a criminal. And I said, I know for sure that I need to make my life to be exemplary. I want my friends to be proud of me, and I want to be proud of them. So I started bringing friends into my life that I felt very confident people would like and would respect and would admire. So then the words respect and admire started coming into my life. Not until I was 14. I didn't understand those words. My mom and dad talked about it all the time. You need to be with people. So can you relate to that? That if you choose people you respect and admire, that you're being admired too, because that's who you're choosing. You know, we're in the same circle. You're always attracting who you are.
Yes, yes. And I love what you said about that you realize maybe I'm not being a good person because I'm not attracting good people. So that's a really good check on yourself, because if you're not getting what you want, then there is a moment for you to change something, to start attracting something different. But that awareness is key. I think that is important.
That is the key, but then you have to have a lot of patience.
Yes.
Because being who you are that you don't like, to becoming who you want to be,
there is a long way. It takes time. Yeah.
And that's what happens to kids. They give up. They give up too quickly. Like people would say to me, oh, Paulette, you're such a good dancer. My name was Paulina in South America, and then in Brazil, it was Paulita.
Paulita, yes.
Paulita, Paulinha, and then I came to the United States and they called me Paulette. And then all of a sudden one day when I was in my 40s, 50s, they started calling me Tinkerbell. A minister started calling me Tinkerbell. This is 27 years ago. And in the lights had gone out in the church, and the minister just said, where's Tinkerbell when we need her? And looked right at me and he said, come on up here and light the candles.
Wow.
And under the candles, I probably looked a little bit like a Tinkerbell. And Tinkerbell then was really famous.
Yes.
27 years ago, Tinkerbell was so famous. When they first came, every kid had Tinkerbell dolls.
Yes.
And then they started coming out with Tinkerbell black dolls. And then I started giving them out to my kids because I wouldn't give them the white dolls. I said, you know, let's go find a Tinkerbell. You know how hard it was to find black
Yes.
dolls?
Very hard.
27 years ago?
Oh, wow.
Didn't exist.
Yeah.
So we started looking for black dolls and black books and history about who you are, because you can't be an independent person and be an example to the world if you don't understand where you come from and you're not proud of where you come from. So you have to feel pride, and that pride, and then the people you choose around you help you to achieve your goals, because people who are not good are not going to help you achieve your goals.
No.
Because they're too needy. They're just way too needy.
They're gonna delay your progress.
100%. So I realized when I was 13, 14. And then when I came to America, oh my God, I had to start all over again. I wasn't doing well in school, but I was nominated most likely to succeed because I tried so hard. And I used to sit with the mirror. So just to show you, wanting to speak English and speaking English fluently without an accent is a long road.
Yes, especially from Spanish speakers.
Especially for Spanish speakers.
We have this singing.
We have the
style.
singing, and we use a lot of the palate.
Yes.
Da, 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 da. And in English, it's never used.
Never used.
In English, what you use is when, what, where. And it's so hard for us to do.
Yeah, I know.
I used to use a mirror. My sister and I would spend our mornings before we went to school looking at the mirror, and if it fogged up, we were saying it wrong. What not supposed to fog up. So you realize that when people say to me, oh, I thought you were American, I didn't realize you were Latin. And I said, well, I don't know where I am. I was born in Poland. I was raised in Germany, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, and United States. So why can't I just choose who I want to be?
Yeah.
I am Brazilian, I said.
That's good. That's amazing.
Brazilian.
Oh, Brazilian.
The reason I chose Brazilian was because they're happy people. They can be poor and they're dancing on the streets. They can be starving and they'll give you a piece of bread.
Yes.
I know that because I hung out with them. We lived together because we were so poor. We're so poor. My parents had to start from scratch. Everything was from scratch. So you lived in poor neighborhoods. I remember my sister and I, when we lived in Bolivia, and I remember the two of us decided we're going to be happy no matter what. We don't speak Spanish very well, but we're going to be happy. And we're going to make friends with the Indians, which was even more difficult because the Indian children were not interested in playing with these two girls with blonde afros. And that's what we were. We were blonde afros. You know, if I let my hair loose, it's just an afro. And my sister wears it in an afro. She always did. And so I said, how do we make friends with these children? So it's understanding who they are, asking them the questions instead of saying, no, 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 like I do a lot of no, 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 no now. But I didn't until I felt a lot more confident. So that was the beginning. I think coming to America, getting that letdown and starting all over again, having to have new dreams. And people would ask me, what are you going to do when you grow up? Everybody asked me. Because I'm this, you know, young, small person that is making a lot of noise and can't speak English very well. And I said, I'm going to be president of the United States. I didn't question it. My father said I would be, and I didn't question it, and that's what I said for the first 2 years of my life. So that was the beginning of me starting to plan to be an American. What is it to be an American? And not give up. I didn't want to give up my other languages. I don't want to give up my other life. My sister gave it up. She decided, I'm not Latin, I'm American. And she was born in Germany, so she definitely doesn't call herself German. So how do you get from the point of being thrown back again? Every time we went to a new country, I had to make new friends. I had to make a new identity, wear new clothes, and I didn't have the money. And somehow or other, if you are really clear about where you want to go, I started making my 5-year plans when I came to America. And I said, you know what? I'm going to marry an American. I'm going to have American children. Then I'm going to go back to college, and I'm going to be a well, at that point I knew I wasn't going to be president because a foreigner can't be a president, and then I found out women can't be presidents. So setback again, right? So now I had to plan, what do I want to be when I grow up? I said, I'm going to be an international businesswoman. Decided, that's it, that's what I'm going to do. I speak a lot of languages. You want to be an international businesswoman? Oh my God. Got to speak more than one language. You speak Spanish? Oh, learn it. Here's the best place to learn it, right?
Yeah.
It's the best place to learn it. So, because I came here and I said, oh my God, I love Miami. Everybody asked me, what's your favorite country? What's your favorite country? I go, well, I lived in 7 countries. Miami's my favorite country. Because in Miami, we do it all, we do it all, and we say it all, and we meet all.
Yes.
We meet people from
Everywhere.
Venezuela, Colombia. Well, Venezuela was my favorite country in business when I was the international businesswoman.
Yeah.
At age, God Almighty, before being an international businesswoman, I said I want to keep my languages and I want to get better and better at them, because being 17 years old, 18 years old, you don't know your whole vocabulary,
No.
right? So I said, I want to get really good at this. So I went into a courtroom and started watching trials. That was the beginning of me working with children prisoners.
Oh.
I started watching trials when I was in my 20s. And I sat in courtrooms and took notes. And I went, oh my God, that interpreter doesn't know what she's saying. All wrong.
All wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong. In every courtroom that I went to, the interpreters were saying terrible, incoherent things. Here's an example. Somebody was they're indicted for a murder trial. And whoever was interpreting was a neighbor. A neighbor's interpreting for a murder trial. And the question from the prosecutor was, so what did you do when the police came in? And he answered, yo me escondí bajo las faldas de mi esposa. Which literal translation means I hid underneath my wife's skirts.
Yeah.
Which means I had a yellow streak down my back. I'm very scared of things, so I just hid.
Yes.
Well, she translated, I hid under my wife's skirt. He was then convicted of having committed the crime because he was hiding when he knew it was the police at the door. It was totally incorrect translation.
Totally.
And so many,
Yeah.
one after the other, one after the other. So I wrote them all down, and I went to school, and I found a professor that would teach me, because I said, I'm going to be a better interpreter.
Yes.
Like, remember, I didn't go to college. And I'm saying, I'm going to be a better interpreter than they are, because they don't understand legal terminology, courtroom procedure, elementary law. I already had learned a lot of words. And I started looking for a professor to teach me legal terminology, courtroom procedure, and elementary law. And I found one at Rutgers University in New Jersey, and I lived in Jersey, so I was able to commute. We had children. I had 3 children.
Oh, wow.
And I was learning legal terminology, courtroom procedure, and elementary law in 3 languages. And then I said, can you teach me Yiddish? She said, sorry, you got me there.
Yeah.
I knew how to speak Yiddish, but I didn't know the terminology in a courtroom. And here I am, I went to the courthouse and I said, so where do I meet the U.S. attorney? And he said, lady, you're in the wrong courthouse, because this is a state courthouse. You want to go to federal to meet the U.S. attorney. And I said, what's his name? And he goes, his name is Bernie Freed. I can't believe I remember his name. Oh my God. That was, guys, 45 years ago. My
Good
God,
memory.
more than that. This was I can't even remember how long. It was at least 45 years ago. And I walk into the federal courthouse and I say, I'm here to see the U.S. Attorney, Bernie Freed. And he goes, who sent you? And I said, the state court. Just like that, I said, the state court. And they sent me up, because they thought I really was sent by the state court. But the truth is, I wasn't lying.
Yeah.
I asked the state court, where's
And
the
they
federal
told you
court?
where to go.
They told me where to go.
Yes.
So all I said was, he sent me. And he sends me up to Bernie Freed. And the guy's looking at me and he says, so why are you here? And I go, of course I had to get checked and all that before I could go upstairs. And he said, why are you here? I said, I've been sitting in your courtroom for several weeks and your interpreters don't know what they're doing. And if I were to worry a little, I would worry that I would be a class action against the U.S. Attorney's Office that would last 100 years, because their clients were convicted incorrectly.
Wow.
And he said to me, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 27. And he goes, "What do you know about the law?" I said, "I've been sitting in your courtroom for 2 weeks, and I took 1 year of just learning courtroom procedure, elementary law, and legal terminology in 3 languages." And he said, "You sure what you're saying?" I said, "Come in the courtroom with me. Tell me when, and I will come one day, and we will go to 3 international trials. And I will simultaneously translate to you what they're saying for real and what's being said."
And, of course,
I got a
you
job.
got the job.
I got a job not only to be the interpreter of Portuguese, Spanish, and Yiddish,
Wow.
because I told them I speak Yiddish fluently. And I was the chief interpreter of the U.S. courts. And there were 2 other people there, and the translators also. They were amazing. As a matter of fact, one of them was from Mexico with a PhD from Mexico. And once again, totally intimidated.
But still, you push through, you have determination, you know what you want, you were not afraid to learn, to explore, to look for help. You look for mentors to help you. And that's part of the success, correct?
I didn't think of all that.
Yeah,
You
at
just
that moment,
you just,
don't.
you
But
just
now
put it all
think-
together.
But now thinking back, you
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
that those are the key values or strategies to be able to be successful. That determination and that, you were not afraid. You just went there and said, "Look, this is what I observed. Let me show it to you,
Yes.
and let me,
Yes.
so you can have the real view of what is happening, and then they will make their decision." Of course, we already know that it was going to be a success.
Well, I was really good in the courtroom, and I really knew what I was doing, because I understood it. Somebody said I've been indicted. I knew it doesn't mean I've been accused. Porque si se dice a una, if you say to one person,
Yeah.
I'm speaking Spanish, I directly went into
Yeah, yeah.
Spanish. If you tell a person you've been accused, it's very different than you've been indicted. And in Spanish, you say, "Usted fue acusado," means you've been accused. It doesn't mean you've been indicted.
Yeah.
But if you really was indicted, you have to tell them, "Usted fue acusado y lo probaron que usted hizo esto." You were accused, and then they proved that you did that, so you've been indicted for a
Yes,
crime.
Because sometimes the translation is not direct. You have to explain
You have
what
to
it
explain
means,
what it means.
so they cannot really fully understand what is happening.
But how can a translator understand what it means if they don't understand it?
Exactly.
So here I am, my next year 5-year plan. I go, "Oh my God, I'm going to be translating here in 4 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Yiddish, and English." I go, "Oh my God, I never thought I could do that, because my dream was to be an international development person that opens up businesses in different countries." I said, "But I guess in a way, I'm working with a whole bunch of different countries, because I'm doing it in 4 languages." And it was interesting, some of the cases that I had and how easy it came to me. So then, after 12 years of working at the Eastern District of New York as an interpreter, I decided I wanted to create a bill, because I thought it was illegal to not give representation to people who didn't speak the language. They didn't get interpreters. They didn't get lawyers. I said, "You can't bring people in a courtroom and not give them their rights and representation by a lawyer and an interpreter that knows what they're doing."
Yeah.
So guess what? I lobbied for a bill in Washington while I was working at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I went to the U.S. Attorney and said, "Would you help me to write a bill?" He said, "I'm not allowed to write a bill. It's illegal." I went to the Chief Judge. "Would you help me write this bill?" A bill is, for those of you who may not know what it is, I had read about it when I was doing that studying at Rutgers University with the professor, was if you think that something in the law is incorrect and you want to change it, you don't go out there with guns and change it, because that's not the way to change the world.
Yeah.
Change the world takes time. And you have to look at what's wrong. You have to put it all together. I had a book this thick of what's wrong. And I went and wrote a letter to Washington, because in those days, no internet. We're talking 1976. Oh my God.
Oh.
1976, I'm writing letters and I'm showing up in person in Washington saying, "You have to change the laws, because foreign people are not being represented in the courtroom." And I found somebody who was doing fighting for the law for people who were deaf, who also didn't have deaf interpreters. And I said, "How would you like to pair up?"
Oh, you see?
And he said, "Why? What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing this." He said, "I'm doing this." I said, "It's the same thing. Hearing, Spanish, Portuguese, you can't hear, you can't understand, you go to prison and you don't have the right interpreter or the right lawyer. We won the law in 1 year. And I have my name on a law, and I was 29 years old.
Excellent.
1978, it's called the Bilingual Courts Act. So after that, I got a little taller, not much taller. Right now I'm 4'11". I used to be 5'1". So I never was very tall. But you know, if you feel tall,
You feel tall because you have confidence and you know that you can make a change in the world, right?
I made a change in
make
the
a big
laws of the
change.
United States.
Congratulations.
Right?
That's
That
a big
was-
success.
It was a big success. So I had achieved that success. So what do I do next? The next 5 years I'm planning now.
Excellent. So before we go to those next years, let's take a commercial break, and when we come back, more of Tinkerbell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Todo Bello Balloons is a business that was born out of a passion for creating unique and beautiful balloon designs, including balloon bouquets, balloon arches, balloon columns, and more. We specialize in creating unique and beautiful balloon designs that bring your dreams into reality. We believe that balloons have the power to bring people together and create lasting memories, and we are honored to be part of that experience. Contact us and we will bring happiness to your celebrations with our balloons. You've been watching the Mindset for Success show. Now, back to your host, Carolina Ayala. Welcome back to the Mindset for Success show. Today we're here with Tinkerbell, and now she's going to tell us about those next 5 years that really shaped her life. So tell us about that.
Well, I think that when you have a dream and you plan it and you achieve it, it's like working out. You know, you want to lose that belly, right? You hate it. Every day it's bothering you, right? All of a sudden you work out, and eventually you look in the mirror and you go, oh my God, I got rid of that belly.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're standing a little straighter, right? Yeah. You're doing your hair a little bit better or differently. You're going out and buying new outfits. Changing your inside changes your outside.
Totally.
So you have to change your inside first. So after lobbying for a bill, you figure, oh my God, what could she do more? She's a foreigner, changed the laws of the United States.
Now what?
What's next? I said, now I'm going to be an international business developer. Exactly what I want to do, because I met so many judges and lawyers from other countries that I said, I'm going to start contacting my contacts and hundreds of countries. Oh my God, these people came from every country you can think of that were arrested for drugs. It was mostly South America, but for others, it was Asia and other countries in Europe. And I said, what do I do now? Let me open up a new company and call it, what was it called? International, oh my God, Global Resources. Oh my God, that I started when I was less than 30. Because the bill came out before I was 30. Yeah. So Global Resources. And I started reading the paper and started looking for companies that weren't doing well. But I was looking for big Fortune 500 companies that weren't doing well in international business. And every week I found a company. One of them was going broke with Mexico. They were going to close down their programs in Mexico because they weren't doing well in Mexico. Another one, one of the partners had stolen $40 million. Wow. And it had to start from scratch. And I said, I know how to fix those. I said, I know how to fix those. I speak the language. I can go and meet with the lawyers over there. I can meet with judges over there because I know them. I've been with them. And I started calling the company. I can't believe I did that. I mean, retelling it.
Again, determination. And in some way, that courage that you say, I can do it. I have something to give. Let me try.
This is 1970, early 78, 79, starting of 80. By 86, I had grown a really big company. So I was working with Fortune 500 companies, and they were paying me by contract to go to I took them for 6 months. I said, hire me for 6 months. I will change the entire program in that foreign country. And I had 2 clients a year, was making $250,000 a year. I was 32 years old.
Wow. Amazing.
And that's when I met my husband.
Oh.
He was one of my clients.
Oh, you see? Also
So-
part of your plan, because you say, I'm going to get married, I have kids. Exactly. Good.
So it's unbelievable how now I am 78 years old. I've accomplished the things that I wanted in my life for those 5 years and opened up international business. And then I said, now I want to run a program for children of prisoners, because I was a prisoner once. Oh, at least I felt like a prisoner.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't a
Yeah.
prisoner, but we lived in an
Yeah.
old barrack. There was
And you know the feeling, and you know the
I know the feeling.
restrictions.
Yes, it was very restrictive.
And the difficult that I guess that it is to, from that environment, to go out and create your life.
and create a life.
A successful life, a
Yes,
good life.
yes.
Because sometimes people can go
Yes,
back and
yeah.
get used to.
But I think that even the memory of living for 5 years in that 200 people in one room, and the only thing we were allowed to do was get food and medical help. It was really hard, very hard, especially for the children. So it made me think about the children and how I could prevent children from going to prison. The building that we were in used to be an old Hitler youth training camp. It was a training camp to kill people as children, teaching children how to kill.
Wow.
And so here I am. I met their parents in prison. I opened up businesses for wealthy people. And then I said, now I want to go back to what I really want to do now. And I said, I want to work with the children of the prisoners and keeping them out of prison. I've been doing that for 27 years.
Congratulations.
More than 1,000 children have gone through our program.
Amazing.
We have 156 right now, currently, and only 2 went to prison, compared to 70% of children of prisoners go to prison. And 2 of our children went to prison. And that was in the
amazing
very
result.
beginning.
That's an amazing result.
I came full circle of everything I've wanted to do, but there's more.
Of
My
course,
next
there's
5
always
years-
more, yeah.
My next 5 years, I'm lobbying for a bill to prevent children of prisoners from going to prison by making sure that when they make an arrest, police, FBI, CIA, when they make an arrest, they put the handcuffs on the parent, but they ask, do you have any children and are they safe?
I get like goosebumps. It's amazing because it's true. Sometimes they don't realize that they leave behind kids, a family, and they're not safe. And the life of them, it will change completely. And they have no resources, no help, no nothing. And
Right.
that's when your organization comes into help.
We come into making the children feel pride.
Yeah.
We pick them up in limousines. We take them to activities that only rich kids go to. We take them kayaking to learn how to not be afraid of water and to be strong and powerful, not to have fears. We take them to the Florida Grand Opera to make sure that we introduce them to other worlds other than just hip hop. Although hip hop is one of my
Yeah.
favorites. It's one of my favorites. And I work out every day. And the children, we make sure that they always do exercise. We have Wesley Saunders working with us, who is a former football player, and he teaches the kids football and basketball and healthy eating. And he's been with us for 5 years. And Media, who teaches them about meditating and creating art while they meditate. So we surround them with people that they can be proud of and respect and admire. And we treat them with respect and admiration. So we can give back what we feel. And the children will grow up very powerful.
Yeah, and they will learn by example what it is to be respectful and have all these opportunities, and that's the right environment for them to be successful.
We are called SilentVictimsOfCrime.org, and we've been around for 27 years in South Carolina, in Chicago, in Illinois, and also now in Miami. So the one in South Carolina is still totally active. The other one, the prison closed down after many years, after maybe 21 years. So we are now writing a bill. It's almost written, and I'm going to start. And how do you write a bill? And how do you get to
Yeah.
create a bill? And so I started
But
working
you
with
already
lawyers.
have the thought form, you know what you want, you have the
Yes.
clarity of purpose.
Yes.
And when you talk about it, you have so much passion that I know that you believe in that. You have it within you. So that's the best combination, because you are aligning your mind, your heart, your soul, your whole being is aligned to be able to get this through. And for sure, in less than 5 years, we will hear that she accomplished that, because she's into that. And I totally believe in you. That's a beautiful
You know,
cause.
Carolina, I think the fact that we meet people in our lives, I believe in several people. Somebody that wrote the Celestine Prophecy, and somebody who wrote a book, and his name is Dave Lawrence, and he is somebody who started the Children's Trust in Miami, and also opened up several places for newspapers, and he was the newspaper editor for Miami newspapers and other states as well. And so he's one of my people that I admire and respect. So I want to follow people that I admire. And I also like the Celestine Prophecy so much because you asked me what are my two favorite books,
Yes.
right? And in the Celestine Prophecy, it teaches us, it's just a story, but what I got from it was it teaches us that everyone we meet in our lives can either add or subtract from our life.
Yes.
And Carolina has been one of the additions.
Thank you very much. You too. You've been
It
a
just
big addition
happened.
to my life. And multiplier, because through you, I get many, many more blessings.
Oh,
So thank you very much for being with
Thank
us
you.
today in the show. Looking forward for more conversation because this is not the end. We have so much to talk about. She has a beautiful life and she's willing to share
Share.
with us and to give us that, words of confidence. Because when we see that you are able to do it, we say, oh, I can do that. If she was able to do it, I can do that. Thank you very much for being here with us
and
today.
thank you for allowing me to speak about my life. I think I learned from other people. I think we can all learn from each other.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's been all for today. Thank you for tuning in. More next week. Stay tuned to Mindset for Success. Thank you. Thanks for watching the Mindset for Success show. Join us every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. to learn how to master your mind and achieve success in every area of your life.